my Gill, state of corruption. Now I'm going to keep showing you evidence and proof of corruption, and this is the same evidence the U.S. Attorney Lullen has, Attorney General Barr has, Riddick from the IRS, okay? Everybody has this evidence. Now let's take a look. The art of extortion, which is what this deep state does, and how they protect the criminality. They literally sell protection. It's what they do. And the head of this organization is Bill Shaheen. Again, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, husband to Senator Jean Shaheen. Now, I refer to the list as a video, and at the end of this, you will see that list again, and I will go over certain names. Now, what you've got to pay attention to is today. From there, I turned down their $50 million. And what you're going to see is a series of emails admitting their guilt. Divine Milliman, Alex Walker, saying they own the lion's share. James Wheat, who's representing Liberty Insurance, saying that they were good with paying me $50 million. Attorney Barrington, who was a mole, but at that time was taking this information. You could see it in his emails. You'd seen me chase him down in court and tell him, Barrington, tell the judge that they offered me $50 million. You know what's funny? All these attorneys and all these court appearances, did you ever hear them one time saying they didn't offer me the money? Once. That's not true. Every time. They won't lie about the money, but they'll say they weren't corrupt. What the hell were they paying you the money for if they weren't extorting you? Okay, so now you see the emails. At the end of this video, I'll go over again the settlement. It wasn't the money, it was the releases. The settlement was contingent upon me giving the IRS a release. Bill Shaheen, this head of this network of corruption, a release. The Department of Revenue, the banking department, who's laundering your money. You understand? That's what I couldn't do. Because they keep doing it. They're destroying families. They're protecting a drug cartel that is destroying lives. I had to draw a line somewhere. Your children happen to be that line. Now, you're going to see 2 title examinations, okay? That's the ownership or liens, in these cases, on my property, on my home and business. And there's other ones on other properties I own. It says the same thing, all right? So please pay attention to me with me here. You're going to see the first one on this is Wiggins and Norrie. They were my divorce attorney. Did you know my divorce cost $8 million? Did you know that was more money than the OJ trial? Do you know why? Because I caught them corrupt. I caught them taking advantage of my ex-wife. You'll notice that Dr. Prasad was on the releases. That was her therapist. Right. They were robbing us both. So they wanted their releases. So that's Wiggins and Norrie. Darla Sedgwick and John Ross. You'll see, again, we're on no settlements. And Wiggins and Norrie. Now, Darla, who told me they were corrupt, she's living in Oklahoma in hiding, fearful of her death, to be murdered. I have shown you those text messages. Okay, let's go second. State of New Hampshire taxes. That is the Department of Revenue. Oh, wait a minute. Aren't they also on those releases? The Department of Revenue. Wow, we've got a coincidence going on. Everybody so far who's on liens on my properties were the same people who were trying to pay me $50 million. And Darla Sedgwick's admitting their guilt. I posted her information. The Department of Revenue, you know what else? We have a report. I'll give you a close-up on this. You know what this report was? Report was an examination of my Department of Revenue's tax return by Eileen Hurley, one of the foremost experts in the country regarding forgeries. Do you know what her conclusion was with my state tax return? Because I couldn't see it. Because if I seen it, I knew it was corrupt. So Walker had them forge my name on it. What it says is the conclusion is, based on the evidence contained in the handwriting, it is my opinion that this document examiner, to the greatest degree of professional certainty, that the Michael Gill of known material did not execute this signature or question document. It was a forgery. They had to forge it to be able to leverage me. Now that's the Department of Revenue. And remember, I just did a IRS. I don't owe the money. They owe me money. Department of Revenue, I don't owe them money. But it was manufactured. They'll tell you it was manufactured. Walker had this done, and Shaheen, to extort me, to attach my properties, which you see. Both can't be correct. And let's not forget, they wanted to pay me $50 million for what? For extortion. Let's go on. You'll see Sarah Gill. She attached the property. She also wanted a release. They've been paying her silence, to be quiet. But there's no argument there either. So far, we're batting 1,000 now, right? Well, let's see who else we got. The IRS? Well, wait a minute. They asked for their release. I've only been knocking on their doors for 8 years. I only just showed you a video that it showed you that they ran an operation to cover up these crimes and wanted their own release. We're still batting 1,000. Dick Aganos. Right here. Dick Aganos. Now, who is Dick Aganos? He is the largest drug dealer, cartel owner in this country, distributing drugs all over this country in the multi-billions. This guy didn't invent the wheel, folks. He's not that smart. Yet he's worth billions because he partnered up with Shaheen. Shaheen was the U.S. attorney. Shaheen offered him protection through the FBI. The FBI, I'm going to show you another video, of run an operation of protecting him. They had a drug dealer, Jonathan Irish, get him off charges. Kakavis, the U.S. attorney, to destroy evidence. Mark Hassenbeck, FBI agent out of Bedford, New Hampshire, was running people through my company. He was their operative. He was their handler. Aaron Day, Eileen Landy, Greg Theodore, Brian Toomey, Kerry Lemieux, they answered to the FBI, protecting Shaheen and the largest drug cartel in this country. That's who Aganos is. Listen, 5 children, nobody's on drugs. Yours are. He owns hospitals, treatment centers. Hope Treatment Centers? I had multiple people inside the treatment center that later on went to the AG's office and said that they were selling drugs and committing Medicaid fraud. Because that's the other thing they do, is steal insurance money. And Shaheen, you know what Shaheen happens to be? The lobbyist for the opioid industry. That means they're paying him to be able to sell more drugs. And so isn't Dick Aganos. And he's built an empire and got HUD money. You got the banking department protecting him. Are you getting this? That's who Dick Aganos is. I didn't know him. That same Aaron Day came to me with Mike Istecki, the town manager of Bedford, New Hampshire. His own son got arrested with Aganos' son. They got immediately released. Istecki, the town manager, knew exactly who Aganos was. He was the town manager of the same town Aganos lived in, was afraid they were going to murder his son. And you should have been afraid. Isn't that why you both came to me? To bring it out in the public? Because you went to State Senator Avard, who knew he was a drug dealer and wouldn't come forwards. You went to State Senator Sanborn, who knew Dick was a drug dealer for 30 years, sat in front of 8 witnesses, and still wouldn't come forwards. You knew that we had 5 arresting state troopers. I'm going to show you an arrest warrant. Dick Aganos, we're a prosecutor. That same Sergeant Keenan from the state police gave me that case number. Would you think I just came up with it? Because the FBI were protecting it, closed his files, shut down those arrests. So he was able to buy his own bank, Aganos, and hide the drug money. He was able to control gambling, charitable gaming in the state, again to launder the money. I'll show you a picture of that. This is what they do. They don't only sell protection, but they sell you protection in the distribution of these drugs. And then they turn around and they cheat you with Medicaid expansion on the people that they addict. You see how obscene it is? Now Dick Aganos is a lien against him. You know why? Because they turned around for the same methodology that all these people did. They controlled the judges. That's what the mafia did. What did the mafia do? They own law enforcement. So do these people. They control your courts. So do these people. They sell you drugs. Yes, they protect the people that sell you drugs and profit by it. And then he becomes the lobbyist for the opioid industry, Shaheen. So the drug industry is still paying him. Now think about this. They extort you with your licensing, like the banking department, like with the IRS, because that's the power and the control that they have. You paid protection from the mafia, from protection from them. Welcome to the party, folks. That's the deep state. Those are the people I'm showing you here and now. We've got these same law firms. We can consider them families. Divine Millimat, well, they're on the releases. Morrison Mahoney, turns out, and I'll show you multiple articles, that they represented Liberty Mutual. Right, they're paying for protection because they cheat you too. Oh, wait a minute. All of these people that we were suing were represented by Liberty. It was an inside job from the beginning. So start thinking of these people like the mafia. Morrison Mahoney's a family. Divine Millimat's a family. Shaheen and Gordon's a family. And you know what these families do? They infiltrate your Attorney General's office. Wow. In order to steal money from the state. Who would investigate stealing from the state? What if the banking department was laundering drug money? Who would investigate? Oh, the Attorney General. Well, what about the Department of Revenues for stealing? What about the corrupt judges, for instance, in family court, that is stealing matching funds, destroying families? Well, that'd be the Attorney General too. So they put their attorneys, these family members, they make them, put them in Attorney General's office. And guess what happens then? Some of them become, U.S. attorneys like Kakavis and Farley from New Hampshire. And now U.S. Attorney Lullen, you have this evidence. These animals covered up for them. They protected them. I spoke to them on camera. They are guilty of treason. Are you hearing that? U.S. Attorney Durham, Connecticut. You know I've called you. You know I'm sending you evidence, and I intend to meet you, which is why I'm in Connecticut now. I'm going to prove to you that the corruption in the FBI. You're investigating the Russia probe. You're going to find Shaheen behind that. Jean Shaheen. That's why she's interviewing FBI agents. You don't call it spying. Right. Electronic surveillance. Right. Comey saying, that's not spying. Well, I'm sorry. I think it is spying. I think it is spying because you had to protect your interests. These are the people I've exposed. Shaheen is on this settlement agreement. She was an entity trying to impeach the president. You seeing what I'm telling you is coming home to today? They're on this. Because you know what? You see Aganos? You say, well, he wasn't on that settlement. No, but who was he represented by? Bill Shaheen and Gordon, the people who needed a release. And what Aganos needs is cover. So they're saying 274 million, right? The same means of controlling those judges, Judge Delker, Judge Tucker, where'd they come from? AG's office. Who'd they represent? They were owned by the drug cartel. Hello? This is what I'm talking about. Banking department wanted a release. They took my license to operate. That's the penalty for trying to save your life. So see, Aganos is represented by Shaheen. So we just batted 1,000. So everybody who's leveraged me today, every one of them wanted their release. Every one of them admitted to corrupting court cases. Every lawyer you've seen here, including Alex Walker, Divine Millimat, Shaheen and Gordon, Bill Shaheen, Morrison Mahoney, you know what their common denominator is? They were all my lawyers. They were people I paid to protect me and that I discovered that was corrupt. Right? You're going to hear a brief recording from another attorney who happens to be on this, named John Friedman. Me and Marisa Pursuto. I'm going to show you a picture. Marisa was honest. She was an attorney. She was writing the suit along with Eric Renner. Now, if you go to YouTube, pull up the video, Damning Evidence, you're going to hear a deposition that I gave to this attorney Renner, okay? Damning Evidence, where he literally reads her narrative, what she put into the lawsuit against Shaheen, against the IRS, against the state. This deep state, she wrote it. You'll hear him read it. She uncovered the fact that they were working with Liberty Mutual. She uncovered the fact that Morris Mahoney was part of this corruption, which is why Morris Mahoney's name was on that settlement offer too. You'll see this attached to the video. Okay? She met with me and Friedman because I didn't know Friedman was part of this. In fact, you're going to hear Friedman's phone call saying, Nick, I don't know why he's waiting. Nick was my lawyer along with Renner from Morris Mahoney. The reason why I went with Morris Mahoney is they said that they had experience working with the FBI and opening up investigations. They were outraged. They couldn't believe the depth of this corruption. They were promised me working with the FBI. You hear Friedman saying he didn't know about a meeting. They never had a meeting together because Friedman always knew the setup, that they were representing Liberty Mutual and they were protecting these. In fact, his exact words to me and Marisa, it would be like me representing my own client, suing my own client. So he knew, and he knew from the beginning. And what here he says is, I don't understand why he hasn't gone to the FBI and reported this. Now, Friedman was the head of a bar association. He was a lawyer for over 30 years. And he's saying you should be going to the authorities. And he's playing with the banking department because he knows the banking department laundering the money for the drug cartel. And yet he wanted his release after this.
Hey, Mike, John Friedman, got your message. Sorry I missed your call. You called on my cell and I was in the office, and so it doesn't ring through. In any event, I don't know about any meeting on Friday. It is not including me. I don't see any reason for delay. I don't know what Nick is thinking in terms of the delay. I certainly think that irrespective of the lawsuit, going to the authorities would be the smart move now. I also wanted to confirm with you, we have a meeting scheduled with MFA in Tewksbury for the 29th at 10:30 in the morning. They're going to be part of our plan of what we say back to the state of New Hampshire Banking Division. I think, notwithstanding the lawsuit and notwithstanding the investigation, we have to make it look like it's business as ordinary, and part of it is to respond.
Now, after that meeting, me and Marisa never met again. She sent me a series of text messages. She was afraid I was going to be murdered. Well, let's take a look. Mike, I have some info that will change the face of this, but you need to be super careful, including your own physical safety. She just got evidence, and she's afraid that I am going to be murdered. But you have to do it covertly. Your safety is in danger. Do not be vocal moving forward. She knew that I was being wiretapped, that I was being followed. And after this, they did try to murder me. And I put that evidence in a video. 3 different occasions, and a 4th was a murder for hire. They rejected it. The FBI has each and every one of these pieces of evidence. They will not deny that this cartel, that Alex Walker and Bill Shatreen tried to have me murdered. The only reason why I'm alive today is because we were too public, and the FBI is sitting with this information, and the FBI is afraid that this is coming back at them. That's why Shaheen's being investigated. You don't think the FBI is being scrutinized now? You don't think that I've turned around and given them all this evidence, documented that they have this evidence? That's part of the game that we're playing. All right, you ready? Any offensive measures you have to be covert will fail. You have been misunderstanding the true evil nature of these things. Please assume you are up against evil, not just corruption. That's important, because I can't tell you that I knew the depth of these evil. You know why? My mind doesn't comprehend killing children, destroying families, but they can. They see you very clearly. Keep your entire plan a secret. Again, you keep underestimating the fear factor of this very evil, corrupt group at the top, beyond just criminal. Again, I'm underestimating their evil. They scare the hell out of all the little guys practicing on their own. Now, what I'm telling you, lawyers across this country know. The little guys know to shut up. Like she says, they scare the hell out of them. Mike, yes, there is an all-powerful big firms. All the ones you have sued. I have told you, I identified these families of corruption, of the mafia. Morris Mahoney, Shaheen and Gordon, McLean Law Firms, Divine Millimat. You are right. They're connected to the judiciary. You know why? They control the courts. From the AG's office, certain judges. This is a closed network protecting each other and running the whole show. What have I said that she didn't tell me before I knew? Remember, I was never to see her again. She was afraid to be murdered herself, was the last conversation on the phone. Mike, it's both, but really predicting is the real, read the level of evil properly. Regular chess moves do not work with this evil. See, what I was doing was moving pieces on a chessboard, like I am now, and like I'm going to Washington. I'm just playing the game outside the box by talking to you even now, by letting you know that the Attorney General's office of this country Attorney General Barr, you have this evidence. Senators in this country have this evidence. The Department of Justice, organized crime, you have this evidence. And U.S. Attorney Lullen in Massachusetts, you could be prosecuting the admission scam and protecting a multi-billion-dollar drug cartel. I hope this winds up on your door. I hope you ask that question because you have this. Mike, I'm sorry. I want you to be safe. Call a private investigator. Interview until you find someone you can trust. Hire some personal security that recommends. She wants me to have bodyguards. You know what the problem is? We are never betrayed by friends. I want you to think about this. Every lawyer I hired turned on me. Every paralegal turned on me. Destroyed evidence. Gave out witnesses' names. No one would stand up to this corruption. You've just seen what they did to me. I was a wealthy man. Owned properties, real estate, largest racing stable in the world. And I said, go fuck yourself. And now I'm hiding in hotels, moving day to day. See? That's what happens when you turn around and say no more. You want someone to come up and tell you the truth? Well, this is what happens to them when they do. Mike, I'm saying this for your own good. Stop turning to New Hampshire lawyers for help. Stop playing into their hands. You're absolutely right. Again, every lawyer I had turned on me, including people who worked for me. Every accountant that I had, to the point where the IRS put their own accountants in without even having me know who they were. And this one's important. Obviously, Ortiz's office got a call. They got the heads up. Simple thing for them to do. You know who Ortiz was? The U.S. Attorney in Massachusetts before Lullen. Shaheen was the U.S. Attorney. Gordon was his assistant U.S. Attorney. Kakavas, who protected the Ponzi scheme in the state and worked for me, was the U.S. Attorney. Farley was the U.S. Attorney that worked for him. Had a meeting with him. He knows the drug cartel. Refused the witnesses and the evidence. Mailed them back to me. And now Lullen. So Ortiz was the U.S. Attorney before him. You see, they control the U.S. attorneys. What are they made of? Lawyers. Where'd they come from? Those law firms. Are you getting it? Because it works that way in your state. And then she turned around, she said, the criminal division of the IRS reporting the tax fraud. She knew the tax fraud. She knew that they were leveraging me with it. She said they're better than the FBI. Now there, Marisa, you were wrong. Titka. I showed you that video. Turns out they were just as corrupt as the FBI. Ran a 4-year operation destroying my evidence and my witnesses and turning around and putting an accountant in place to intercept my mail from the IRS, which I haven't heard from in 8 years. Now you tell me that. They got a lien. The DRA hadn't heard from me in 8 years. No tax returns. I was dealing with everything with the criminal division. They kept everything quiet. Now, where is that? If you investigate, they all go to jail. This deep state goes to jail. Senators go to jail. The FBI get caught for treason. And you get to throw in a series of judges, a whole network, an attorney general's office of a state, and ready for the cherry on top, the largest distribution of drugs, a cartel, the largest in the country. We get them all. Then she goes on to say, this is like watching Zero Dark 30, the movie. Well, I got a feeling this might be a movie one day. Reminds me of New Hampshire legal terrorists. The closed, corrupt protection old boy network is the reason why your life has been fucked. Again, it was her narrative. Now I'm going to show you the list which means that settlement offer, you're going to see that the same names that are extorting me now and today are the ones who wanted to pay me that money before. Now you're going to have to ask yourself why. Because I said no. I said no because somebody had to say no. Mike Gill, State of Corruption. An omission of guilt. Let's go over shortly who's on it. All right? But let's start by saying the representative of the corrupt was Bob Curley from Curley and Curley. He's representing Morris Mahoney. And Morris Mahoney was representing all the other law firms, the AG's office, the banking department, the IRS, Divine Mill, all of those. Okay? So let's get the picture. These are all the people that says, Mike Gill's crazy. Right? Can't be true. If what he's saying is true, it means we're all corrupt. Now, I told you I refused $50 million. Now, we're going to attach all these documents to this video. It says my client is willing to settle this matter for $50 million. I'm good with the money. But there are a number of conditions attached to the settlement, however. If the first condition is not agreed upon, all the parties remain moot. Meaning, I got conditions. Meaning, I'm not going to leave this state in charge of criminals. And I'm not going to turn my back on the people of this state for any amount of money. Now, this is in writing, and you get a copy. Well, once you agree to this, then you go into another document. See? Right here. You will see this is attachment. This is the physical release. These are the initial disclosure of defendants of Morris Mahoney. Persons of Morris Mahoney may use to support their claims and protect them. Okay, so here's a list of names that are asking for a release. Now I remind you, they wanted to make you think these are ancient times. This is dated July 26, 13. Right. Now also is the confidentiality agreement that goes with it. Meaning, if I agree to this, I can't even tell Jesus what's going on, what these criminals have done. Right? They all got their names on it. So let's go over the list. Mike Gill's lying, he said, right? Is that what you said, Steve Gordon? Well, let's take a look on the list. Sarah Gill's on the list. Just happens to be my ex-wife. Now, didn't I tell you they took advantage of her? Right. Steve Tober, he's on the list. Maybe you remind you that I told you that he was corrupt. He was my wife's attorney. He was the one getting him through statutes of limitations. He wants a release. Jim 10, my divorce attorney from 10 and 10, right? New Hampshire Bar President, right? He wants a release. Dave Dupree. He was my lawyer too, from McLean Law Firm. Remember I told you how corrupt McLean is and in control? Well, they want a release. Wow. Tim Coughlin, another divorce attorney. Now, what is it with all these that they want a release from all criminal wrongdoing? Well, let's see how. Matt Kozel, the ex's attorney, Ronna Wise. She was her attorney too. Remember I told you they destroyed the records? Well, there they are. What would they want a release from if they didn't destroy the mental health records? Alex Walker, the guy suing me, who I said tried to murder me. Well, he wanted a release. He was the president of Divine Millimat. Dallas Sedgwick, another one of my attorneys, who went and told me what was going on and is in hiding in Oklahoma. She wants a release. Remember, I want you to remember the words of Steve Gordon. Preposterous. Well, let's go on. Jonathan Ross. Maybe you remember the You Be the Jury. These are the same times that Judge McHugh kicked the whole thing out. Asked the jurors to leave because I was kicking his ass. Right. And now they're trying to take my house off a 1 month's bill, right, on criminality. Well, Jonathan Ross wants a release. Henry Hyder, another attorney that I told you Walker extorted, he wants a release. Maria Pursuto, the same woman who's so worried about her life, who called the state of New Hampshire and the officials in New Hampshire evil. She needs a release. Bob Jutras, another one of my divorce attorneys, whose job was to get him through statutes of limitations. He wants a release. Listen, I'm not making all this up. This is signed, by the way, too. Let's keep going on. Maurice Gilbert worked for Divine Millimat, the DRA. Didn't I tell you he was corrupt? Go back to all my videos. Now I remind you, too, we found this 2 weeks ago in one of our ex-attorney's computer. I was never meant to see this after I told him to go stuff it. John Sparkman, the VP of Divine Millimat. Larry Schwartz, only the accountant on the tax returns that I told you was forged. Grant Thornton, who took the company over, who knew it was criminal. Lisa Tracy. Now, why would Lisa Tracy want a release if what I wasn't saying was true? Right? Don't forget Lisa Tracy. Do you know the case with Shaheen and Gordon in front of the judge? His recusal was Rosenberg. Who do you think Lisa Tracy's attorney was? Rosenberg. They needed someone to trust to leverage Lisa for the silence of Shaheen and Gordon. Right. You see these text messages right here? Remember the ones that threatened my kids' lives? This is Ted Little. You see an email between Ted Little in 2013 and Shaheen and Gordon Nolan trying to get the evidence that he said in the text that they destroyed. What if I can tell you you showed legal documents about your divorce you have never seen before? This is the same guy who was requesting the files from Shaheen and Gordon. This is why they're protecting their own criminality. Ranging from Mr. Walker to your ex to Lisa Tracy to the attorney that represented her and Jim. So the person that worked for me asking the files that they destroyed is also telling me in text messages that he's afraid for his life and that he can give me this. The same guy he can give me is the same recusal for the judge. Okay, let's go on. We've got more names. Preposterous, remember? Tony Aguirre, another attorney. There was a mole. Tim Powell. Wow, well, wait a minute. Tim Powell is only an IRS agent. Remember the same one that everybody thought was crazy, saying, what, the IRS? That's right, they use the IRS and leverage them. That's what Shaheen does. And that's why Tim Powell of the IRS wants his release. Dr. Prasad. Remember the therapist that I said had the records? Well, why does he want one if they didn't know they were destroyed? R.P. Saunders. Uh-oh. You know where R.P.'s from? Shaheen and Gordon. Right, who corrupted the divorce. Who leveraged for the $100,000. This was Bill Shaheen's boy. Tom McMillan, another attorney. Rob Fitzgerald. He was only the computer expert. Remember I said they were getting into my files? Who do you think was breaking in? Friedman. John Friedman's the only one that I said in deposition. He said the banking commission was the worst, the most corrupt he's ever seen. Right? So was he. He wants a release. Little. You know who Ted Little is? The text master who's afraid for his children's life. He wants one too. Donald Smith, the lawyer from Wiggins. Jerry Edelton, lawyer from Wiggins. James Filler, IRS. Tom Roberts, IRS. Wow, Marissa DeLinks, the lawyer for Dallas Sedgwick. I mean, we're into, what, 4 generations of corruption. I guess if this don't work, who's left? I don't know. We're fighting Gordon and Bill Shaheen now. I think the only ones left might be Satan. Nick Alexander, Eric Renner, my attorneys for Morris Mahoney. Mark Hartley. He's the top guy at Morris Mahoney. He wants a release. But I want you to pay particular attention to the next 10 entities. Right here, okay? So I just gave you a bunch of lawyers and so forth, and politicians. Williams and Conley. The whole company wants a release. Their accountant firm. Divine Millimat. Wait a minute. Walker, the guy suing me, they want a release. Wiggins and Norrie, the same people take him out, they want a release. The Internal Revenue Service. Hold on. The IRS wants a release from me. Now, when I told you they were covering up, they had a mole in the company, that was hard to believe. Even when you heard them on the phone, forgetting to hang up, saying there was a mole, they want a release. New Hampshire Banking Department. Uh-oh. What did we say what they were doing? Only money laundering and protecting the drug dealers. Then tell me why they want a release. The New Hampshire Department of Revenue Administration. You know, the ones who's been leveraging me for my silence for over, 12, 14 years? They want a release. You see what I'm saying here? Now I want you to notice this one last name that I've been saving for you. And that is Bill Shaheen. Bill, you want a release. You and RP. And that goes to 2013. So it isn't all that long ago. Right? Here you are here, Bill. William Shaheen wants a release in 13. July of 13. All right? So here you go. So boys and girls, I want you to see this too. Ready? This is signed by them. Here is the disclosure that they wanted me to sign and you didn't see me sign because I didn't sell you out. You see the people on that name? On that page? That should tell you the level of the risk that we have in this state. That is a signed confession. They just couldn't imagine someone would say, stuff 50 million. Well, here's the evidence. And they signed it, boys and girls. We found it in one of the attorney's computers. There's no doubt. And there's no doubt that Shaheen and Gordon are trying to cover this up. That was in 13. I've been fighting these guys for over 10 years. We are right in our sights. We have them exposed. I am telling you there's a cross current going on in this state right now that we have got to stand up and fight together. Thank you.